From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. You can also pick up a great book at We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has us updated on the SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to CHIVE Charities today. You can find them on our website. What's it like to die and then come back? I can tell you point blank, this is an experience that I never want to have. Out of all the experiences I have had, this is the one that I do not want. I can honestly say it scares the daylights out of me just thinking about it. Even talking about this subject, I can feel my anxiety levels building. I don't know why, but it's been my lifelong fear. Death, just like a lot of you. Tricia Barker experienced a profound near-death experience during her senior year of college, and this experience has guided her to teach overseas in public schools at the collegiate level as well. Her near-death experience changed her perspective on life as she knew it. It was so profound, it's also been featured on television shows like Dr. Oz, magazines like National Geographic. Her memoir is called Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation. Her website, triciabarker.nde.com, if you want to check it on out. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I'm going to bring you the SOR Newswire. Tricia Barker, what a pleasure it is to have you on Spaced Out Radio tonight for the first time. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be on the show and talk with you. This is going to be a ton of fun.
This is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fun. I'm going to be honest with you. My one fear in life is death. I cannot handle it. I can't handle it at all. I literally used to have anxiety attacks where I would run down the road screaming because I was having a panic attack about death, knowing that it was inevitable. So I'm hoping your words of wisdom tonight will help calm people like myself down.
Oh, I hope they do, because I was much like you. At 21, I started developing these panic attacks where I was driving in my car and I started thinking, someday I'm going to die. And I was agnostic at the time. So I had grown up in this religious household, and I thought many of the people around me were judgmental. And I loved academia, and I just felt like I did not care about thinking about religion. And so for me, being an agnostic, I thought, that I just go into the ground, cease to exist, and that would be that. And it scared the living daylights out of me as well. So you can imagine, when I had a bit of a premonition that I was going to die, my panic increased even more so, because I thought I would die and not come back. You know, I had about a few weeks before the near-death experience, I had a couple of moments where, I mean, now I look back and I realize they were a premonition, but I have to tell you, once it finally happened. So once I was in a major car accident, and I was taken in for surgery. And once my soul left my body, and I saw that body on the operating table, and I realized that we go on, that the spirit goes on, all that fear in those first few seconds of the near-death experience dissolved. And honestly, I felt incredible joy, Dave. I mean, like, if you can imagine, like, going from extreme fear to just joy and exhilaration. And it's like you leave the play and you see the reality behind the play. And that's how I felt, was, oh, okay, all this material world, it's more just a creation, and my real eternal self is this soul. And I knew it in those first few seconds.
Incredible. And we're going to get deep into that tonight. What was life like before this happened, before this automobile accident that literally claimed your life, but you were able to claim it back?
Yeah, so life was okay. You know, I was a pretty good student in high school, and I got a lot of scholarships to a major university because I dug in. My home life was not great. I had an emotionally abusive and physically abusive mom, and my dad was pretty neglectful. So I was damaged, emotionally in some ways. But growing up poor, I just thought, okay, I'm going to give this my all. I'm going to get out of this small town. I just bought into American materialism, as many kids do. And I just thought college is my best way to success. I love studying. I succeed at it. I'll get there. But what I didn't realize is that, I was kind of tired by the time I got there. My childhood had not been that easy. And so I started escaping into drugs and alcohol, which I didn't try in high school. But in college, I began to dabble in that realm. And my life just started taking a downward turn emotionally and in several different ways. I was pretty depressed and kind of wondering how I was going to pull it together and graduate, by the time my senior year rolled around. And that's the place where I was at when I had the near-death experience. So a little bit lost. It's like, I started out with tons of scholarships and I'm going to take on the world. And then I was like, oh, life is a little harder than I thought. And I have some depression to deal with and some sadness about life that I don't know how to heal. And so that's where I was right before the accident.
Wow. So here you are having to battle all of this. And that's a life that the majority of people in your position don't get out of. They go down the wrong track. They don't focus on the education. And then you get all of these scholarships and awards that your friends and family are probably just absolutely elated. And you go to college. Which college did you choose?
Well, I chose the University of Texas at Austin. I'm a Texan, and so I had to go within state. But, to be honest, my family was pretty neglectful, and they weren't necessarily that enthusiastic about me going anywhere. That I got a lot of, oh, you're just going to have big student loans. You won't be able to pay for this. But I knew I had to escape my small town. I knew that if I stayed there, I was going to be miserable. And I just felt this calling to get there. So that was part of the story as well. And it was liberating. It was wonderful in some ways. But,
now,
I think... No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, if we go to that night with the car accident, are you comfortable going there?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. So the spiritual element of the story is so liberating and so beautiful and so wonderful, and I'm so glad that it happened. But I have to tell you, I totally understand why people don't want to have near-death experiences, because the physical trauma is actually traumatizing. I mean, people do end up with some PTSD, and it's not my favorite part, but I tell it all the time, and I think it's the part that people are fascinated about, because that's what they can relate to more often, is the way you die. And the spiritual experiences is really the place where the energy changes and where we can talk about things that are more beautiful. But yeah, so I was driving to run Austin 10K, and it's a running event that's a big event in Austin, and that was a symbol of me getting my life back together. So I'd been partying quite a bit that junior and senior year, and so for the months before that, I had stopped heavy drinking and drug use, and I was running really hard for this race, and I was in great shape, and I was excited about it. And on the way to the race, though, probably just 2 blocks from my apartment, there was a strange light. And it was maybe the synchronization was off, but for whatever reason, I was going 60 miles an hour. The other guy was going about 60 miles an hour, and we hit each other. It was a curved intersection, so it was almost like a head-on collision. And I have to tell you, the first thought was, oh my God, everything depends on what other people do next. I have no control, because I realized that my body was slumped against the side of the car and I could not lift myself up. And I knew that was bad. I knew that was really bad. I could not reach my glove box for my license and registration. And I just waited, and eventually someone stopped. The other guy his windshield had broken. So he was very bloody, and he was holding his 2-year-old daughter, so they were bloodied, and, blood was streaming down their faces, and some cars didn't stop. And because of that moment, Dave, man, I stop every time I see an accident. Like I'm in the middle of the mix, because I know how traumatized people are. They're standing there in shock going, who's going to help me? Well, eventually someone stopped, and she happened to be a nurse, and she jumped in the car with me and held my hand, and she told her boyfriend to call the ambulance. And she wasn't even concerned about the guy and his daughter, because she knew I was in bad shape. And she told me to wait, that the ambulance would be there. They'd put me on a board and take me into surgery, most likely, and that it could be neck or back or, more broken in bones. And I'd never broken anything. I was a runner, so I wasn't in combat sports or anything, and never had an accident before. That terrified me. So I waited in the hospital for 17 hours before a neurosurgeon took my case, and I knew that my back was broken in 3 places, that I had pretty severe internal injuries that they didn't know how to treat, because they had to do the back surgery first. And oh my God, the worst part was I lost feeling in one of my legs. So you can imagine a runner, young, and thinking, oh my God, I may not walk. And that terrified me. So that's where I was physically before spinal surgery.
My goodness. At 21 years old, you must have been in absolute panic, absolute fear.
Oh,
what is going through? I've been in car accidents before. Once where I was rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, I wasn't very hurt. We got rushed because my late nephew, who just passed away a year ago, he was, I think, 4 years old at the time. So they put us in the ambulance just because of him. And that was scary enough for me. I could just imagine what is going through your mind at this time. You must have felt so alone.
Oh, I did. There's some magical moments, though. So the man who was in the wreck, his mother showed up first at the scene. My family was scattered all over Texas, so it took them several hours to get there. But she actually prayed with me. And I said, why are you praying with me? This accident might be my fault, and I hurt your son and granddaughter. And it kind of brings tears to my eyes to think about it. And she said, they're going to be fine. They went in for plastic surgery. They have no broken bones, but you are badly hurt. And I'm just going to stay here with you until some of your family members get here. And that is beautiful. The people who stop, the good Samaritans, the people who pray with you, the nurses who are kind, the doctors who do take the case even when they've been on duty a long time, those are the people who deserve praise and who do good things in this world. There's another part to this story. I overheard one of the nurses say that one of the neurosurgeons was not going to take my case because I didn't have health insurance, and I just overheard this. So you can imagine my fury and my anger. I was cussing at this imaginary surgeon going, I'm not a loser, I'm a college student, someone needs to operate on me, like I'm a human being. I was just yelling at people at that point. And then hours wore on, and I had no painkillers. And people, question that aspect of my story, but I had such massive internal injuries that no one could administer medicine until a surgeon said, yes, I'm going to take her case and you can go ahead and do this. And that took many hours before a surgeon finally decided to take my case.
Wow. If a car accident is that serious, how can it take that long for a surgeon to take your case? This isn't Santa. This isn't Santa's naughty and nice list.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. So I researched this when I wrote my book, and that particular surgeon, she actually died 8 years after my accident, and she was doing cutting edge work in the medical field. She had a head-on collision herself. And there was a shortage of neurosurgeons in Austin, and Austin is a huge college town, 50,000 students, so there's all kind of motorcycle and moped and car accidents. And some people waited 36 hours for spinal surgery.
Oh, wow. I could not imagine. So when you're lying in the hospital bed going through this, and you had mentioned earlier on that you were agnostic, you really didn't have a belief in the afterlife, you thought it was all one and done, what's going through your head as you're lying there, not really knowing what's happening to your body, not really having control of anything in the situation?
Well, I tried to be as convincing as I could with the neurosurgeon. So she had been on duty for 40 hours, she said. So she had to go home and rest, take a nap, and then eat dinner and come back and do my surgery. But man, my charm came out. I asked her about her school, and I asked her what she was doing, and I begged her to take my case, and I told her that it was important that I walk, because if I didn't know if I would make it in life, and that I was really struggling. And there was some kind of human connection that I made with her, and I felt like, okay, maybe this neurosurgeon will help me. And I had confidence in her, so I tried to hang on to that hope. And it's kind of funny, Texas is an interesting place. My grandmother was shocked that a female neurosurgeon was going to take my case. And for me, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. She went to med school. She drives a BMW. Yeah, I want a BMW. That's how my mind thought. But I was also trying to survive, and she was my lifeline.
Tricia, I got to ask, in regards to the whole aspect of waiting for this to happen, thinking about the possibility that you may not walk again, at some point we all get emotional about the trauma and we start feeling very sorry for ourselves because of the situation we are in. Did you go through that when you're like, damn it, I had this really hard upbringing, nothing. There was never any parental support. Life was hard. I worked hard to get into school to make something of myself, and now this is happening to me. How cruel is this? I mean, I think we all have those moments in time where we're shouting at the gods above, trying to say, is this just some cruel joke? Am I just part of your own laughter? Did that happen to you?
I had a mix of emotions. So at first, I was actually relieved that this didn't happen during a night of drinking or partying, that I wasn't going to be charged with a DWI, that I was on my way to this race sober and trying to get my life together. And then I did begin to feel sorry for myself after I got angry at the neurosurgeon who wasn't going to operate on me. So I felt this tremendous anger. And then those final, I don't know how many hours, but however long those final hours were before surgery, I just lost all hope. I'd lost feeling in my leg, and I was just crying tears of absolute self-pity. Mm-hmm. Thinking about the bills, the hospital bills, the car, all those things.
Yeah, things that you're not supposed to worry about in college.
Yeah, not graduating. I was a few weeks away from graduation, and obviously that wasn't going to happen. So I was totally focused on the material world, my body, my bills, my future, just this material world. I really didn't give the afterlife a second thought.
Now, you keep using the term material world. For people who may have caught that as I have, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's a term that I use now because I feel shoved back in this material world. As soon as I went into the afterlife and that energy consciousness beyond the body, I felt more connected to understanding, to a different view of this life. And so I don't view this material world, my physical body, this life, as important as the spiritual reality behind it. And so to go from being completely agnostic to being kind of annoyed by having to be back in the physical, that's a huge jump that a near-death experience takes you on.
I can see that. We got about 3 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Near-death experiencer Tricia Barker is with us tonight. Tricia, as you're lying in the hospital bed and you were there for 17 hours, how did you sleep? How did you get comfortable? Were you wide awake through this entire time? Did the pain knock you out?
Oh, no, I was awake and either screaming or crying. Most of my family members who did show up wouldn't even stay in the room with me because at different times I was moaning or screaming incoherently, and they were kind of annoyed by my screams, and that was their perspective. So I think I would have comforted my kid, but yeah, no, they were just annoyed that I was screaming loudly.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
Do you hold?
Lots of love.
Well, you know what? Though I think this is an important part because for many of us, we hold on to the petty things in life. Here you're going through a real life situation. You're not feeling the love or the balance or support from your family. How is that? And maybe if this is offline or off kilter, please tell me, and I'll revoke the question. But how has that affected your family situation today?
Oh, I don't have much of a relationship with them. I tried for many years, but I'll get into that part of my story. But yeah, as I've become more vocal about my story and the near-death experience, I have to tell the truth because that's what a memoir is. It's a true depiction of one's whole journey. And I want to reach kids who grew up with narcissistic parents or kids who grew up feeling unloved because I want them to know that, hey, there's this incredible power. There is this love of God way beyond the brokenness of yourself or your family that can seep into your life and can revolutionize everything, and you can heal.
That's a deep, profound statement, especially for those kids out there or those college students who feel that there's nobody there.
Yeah, and there's an energy and a power so much greater than they can even wrap their heads around. But there's so much that's possible, and that's part of my message is just to remind them of the light and remind them of their power and to go to nature for healing and to, do the simple things that we're out of touch with. And we're more and more out of touch with these simple bits of healing now in the technological age.
Very true. Very true. Tricia, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Tricia Barker is our guest tonight. The topic, near-death experiences, her experience. I mean, this is an incredible story. We got 2 hours left with her. We're going to get into some detailed information about her book called Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a Space Traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Glad to have each and every one of you with us. Reminder, if you've missed a little bit of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Do a little shopping at the SOR Vault for Christmas. Pick up a great book at We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month as well. You can stay up to date on the news with Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tricia Barker is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking about her near-death experience. Yeah, this is going to get real interesting here over the next little bit. Her book, Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation. Tricia, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to talk more about all of this.
All right. So right before the break, we were talking about the difficulties you had with your family. And here you are sitting in the operating room for literally 17 hours before a surgeon flipped a coin on you and decided, yeah, what the hell, we'll operate. I don't really get that. I don't understand that, but that's unfortunately what happened. Take us through the next little bit here, because I think this is where you get close to dying.
Yeah, so I signed a form, and as soon as I signed that form, they started wheeling me down this long corridor, and it was much like ER, the television show that was popular at that time, and I'd seen, in many television shows what it was like when people were rushing, and suddenly there seemed to be like a lot of rushing, and I thought, that's interesting. And the form said that there was a 17% chance of death. And that was my only pause. I thought, well, what choice do I have? I need this spinal surgery, but that's pretty low, and I'm young. I'm probably not going to die. That was my thought as they put the anesthesia on me, and I went under. And, of course, there was just total blackness. At some point during the surgery, though, my spiritual form, so my essence, came out of my body, and I could see the entire room without I didn't have eyes, so I was able to see everything all at once. So it was like I was kind of above my body. And my first thought was, holy crap, we go on. This is so exciting. I was so happy in those first few moments because I knew that consciousness was the real me, that the physical form there on the operating table, which, by the way, was very bloody. So they had my back opened up, most of my back. They had part of my hip opened up. And there was blood all over the sheet. And I thought, ooh, this looks gruesome. This isn't necessarily what I thought surgery would look like. This looks like something from the Civil War. It's so gruesome. And I just almost did a little jig up there in the air. I was just certain that I would go on after death. And the next thing I saw were these large beings. And I called them beings for a long time and then light beings because I didn't know if I should use the term angels. They didn't have wings. They were just highly intelligent light beings. And they communicated telepathically. They communicated healing. And they sent a lot of light into my spirit form so that I understood what was happening, and then they told me, watch this, and they sent this healing light through the back of the neurosurgeons, through their hands, and into my body, and I saw through this light that the little fragments of bone that were pressing on my spine in different places were going to be picked out, and that I was going to walk, and I was going to run later, and everything was going to be okay, and that I was going to live. And, they told me that I was going to live, but at that moment, a strange thing happened. The monitor flatlined, and I also knew that from television programs. And I thought, yeah, and now they know I'm dead. I was already out of form, but I was like, what are they going to do? So the anesthesiologist, who was probably at the top of my body, kind of jumped up and ran around, and it seemed like they were all scurrying. And I thought, you know what? I don't think I want to see how they're going to revive me. This is already bloody enough. I'm going to leave this hospital room and see what else is out there. And I saw my stepdad getting a candy bar, and my mom had left my dad when I was in college and married a younger man, and, I didn't really know him that well. And I thought, I hope they're happy. I hope he's good to her. I don't really know him. They were just the type of vegans who jumped on everybody's food choices and told them how they're going to die and all that. And, like if you drink a soda, you'd get yelled at by them. They were those kind of eaters, and he was getting a candy bar out of the vending machine. And I laughed for a minute because I was like, you're getting junk food. And it kind of stuck with me. And later that became my verifiable detail because I later verified that he did get a candy bar and did kind of have this secret, addiction to Oreos and Snickers and that kind of stuff. But anyway, I left the hospital, and what my spirit form felt outside of the hospital was this merging or this kind of oneness with everyone I'd ever known, everyone I'd passed on the street, even someone who sold me a bagel, or all the people who walked by me at class, all the people I knew from classes. And my soul just wanted to say, I love you, have a good life, enjoy it, be good to others. Like at my core, that was my truth, and I think that's everybody's truth. As we're going out, we just want to send love to everyone and forgive everyone. So, yeah, even the people in my family, I saw that, there was some love and there was some care, and I wanted them to be happy, and that was it. That was that part of the experience. But then I kind of transitioned out of this world and into this beautiful cosmos with all these stars, and I was floating there, and I felt so at peace. But I felt the beginning of something that I call a higher consciousness. It could be God, but there was this divine light that began talking to me in this kind of telepathic way as well. And I started hearing messages like, love is all that matters. It's all that we take with us. It's all that you need to focus on. And then the light showed me different parts of my life. And this is technically a life review. I was 22 at that time, and I hadn't been particularly a bad person, but I saw where I could have been kinder to people. I could have opened up more. I could have gotten to know people, and I was a little bit judgmental and cliquish. And I saw these wonderful people who prayed for me because they thought I was depressed, and I worked with them at this restaurant, but I didn't take the time to get to know them for whatever reason. And I saw, God looks at the heart of people, and we don't always see the heart. We see what car they drive or what shoes they wear or what, music they like, and we should look at their heart instead. And that lesson stuck with me, and that was the main lesson from that life review. Then I started hearing other messages like, be like a little child, reclaim your joy, enjoy life, and remind them to go to nature. And as that happened, my spirit form, and it turns out you can do this in the afterlife. Older people will choose a form usually around 35 or so. But since I was 22, when I heard those words, be like a little child, I decided to take on the form of a young child, and I entered this beautiful landscape. And then I heard, remind them to go to nature, and my grandfather appeared, and he was probably in his 30s, 35, around there. And at first I didn't recognize him because he looked so young, and he also glowed. His form was somewhat like those angels because he had this otherworldly glow about his eyes and this beauty that just emanated from him. So much love for me. And this is a kind of a strange part of the near-death experience. Everyone always wants to say it's your brain shutting down or it's just a dream or like a hallucination. But I think I'm a good person to argue with on that level because I had hallucinated. I'd had plenty of dreams, but I'd never felt smarter and more connected to this higher consciousness and these universal truths in any dream or any part of my life. And suddenly, outside of form, like I felt connected to people all around the world. I felt definitely connected to everybody in Austin where I was going to school, but I felt this deeper understanding of humanity and the truths that we all need to know. And honestly, I felt smarter than, I think all these materialists and people who focus on just the brain, they don't realize that if you stepped out of form and you get connected to something that is greater than you, then you actually feel as if your intelligence has expanded. And so, I just felt so alive. But this is kind of a strange part of my near-death experience. And, this is where some people say, oh, that's just a dream because you saw a truck. But my grandfather had a truck in this beautiful landscape, this green grass and this beautiful place. But what the message was about the truck was he had given that truck to our family. My father never really did anything with it. It rested in our yard, but he had given it out of love. And in heaven, it was there again, because everything that's done out of love, we get to take with us. And everything that isn't love is just forgotten. So, there was this complete forgiveness. So, yeah, my mom was a difficult mother, but I took, our moments in nature. And I knew that, she had loved me in her own way. And I knew that my father, even though he had been away from me, I knew that in his heart he loved me deeply. And I knew that love is all that matters. And this truck represented, things coming into being. And also I might not have recognized him without the truck because he looked so much younger. But for whatever reason, I liked to ride in the back of this truck when I was a kid. And so again, I sat in the back of the truck and we were just driving in this peaceful place. And I thought, nature, it's just untouched. There's no death. Every bit of grass is just full of life. I could stay here. This is peaceful. But he asked me, he said, do you want to continue on? And when he said that, he stuck his head out the window of the truck and asked me. I immediately knew what he meant. And that intelligence that I had been feeling was God, and I wanted to journey closer to God. So I just flew toward this bright light, which I knew was God, and I began to feel people's prayers at that point. And I felt my mother's prayer, my father's prayer, and an aunt's prayer, and I felt every word that they said. And I think this is important because even if I had not come back, I would have known that people were praying for me. So prayers are not they're not wasted, that the love you send, again, love is all that matters. And if you are sending love through a prayer, it will reach that soul. And so I felt he loved me. I felt he wanted me to stay on earth. And yet he kept flying towards this love of God, this light, because suddenly I started to feel really good. And every part of me that had been broken or, my self-esteem was pretty low. I mean, I drank alcohol and did a lot of drugs at college just to fit in and to feel free. But, what I really felt about myself was ashamed and not strong in any way. And I suddenly just felt loved in a way that I'd never felt loved, like the way parents should love you, like this, but more than that, it was way more than any romantic love or passionate love or parental love. Suddenly it was just so strong. And that's the point when most near-death experiencers are like, I do not want to come back to this earth. People don't get it. Why do I have to live in this crazy world when this kind of love exists and it feels better than any drug? It feels better than any moment in life. I'm finally safe. I'm finally free. Let me stay here. And that's how I felt, is I just wanted to keep journeying closer and closer to that love of God. But at some point I was stopped. And not every near-death experiencer gets a particular mission, but I did. And God showed me, there was kind of this booming voice again, but it was telepathic and it just rang within me. And I was commanded to look down, and I saw all these souls on earth, and they were along a river, and I thought maybe the river represented life, and some souls were shrouded in darkness and some had their lights on. And it was just a very simple message of you have to be a teacher, you have to go back, and you have to teach them to turn on their lights. And I was like, what do you mean? And I looked down at my soul, and my own soul was now full of light and full of that love of God. And I knew I'd changed in that moment and that I wasn't coming back the same. But I also was really mad about this mission because I'd grown up poor, and I knew that to be a teacher, I was going to struggle financially. And I was like, oh, no, God, no, that is not what I want. Let me go and be a lawyer. Let me do something else. I want a career that's somehow different, more important. And it was as if I was being laughed at, like, no. And I was thrown kind of back into my body. So suddenly this dark wind was enveloping me, and I was just like ejected out of this most loving, amazing place. And I have to tell you, when I came back into my body, it was disorienting. Of course, I'm coming out of a major surgery, and they're taking the tracheotomy out of me, and there was anesthesia, and yet I knew I was different, even in those moments. I just kind of looked around, and they were asking me to say my name, the two nurses in the waiting room, and giving me ice chips, and I refused because I said, no, I remember her name, it's Tricia, but I didn't even consider myself. I was still connected to this consciousness and something so much larger than my body, if that makes sense. That to just be this body is really boring. And I was like, no, okay, I guess I'm Tricia, but, I didn't want to be. I wanted to be that free-flowing spirit who can fly and connect with God and know the hearts of people. And those first few moments were disorienting. My surgeon came in pretty quickly, and I asked her, I said, how long was I dead? And, that kind of shocked her. And she stepped back away from me and said, we thought we lost you for a couple of minutes, but you're fine, and you're getting some blood transfusions. And later, researchers found out that I was dead for 2.5 minutes. But in those moments, everyone wanted to focus on just the basics of, hey, you're going to get a body cast in a few days, and hey, you're doing well, and the surgery was successful, and you can wiggle your toes, and I was like, hey, God's this light, God's amazing, right? And everyone was looking at me like, yeah, she's on drugs.
I got a couple questions I want to get in here. So we've got about 4 minutes before we go to break at the top of the hour. Tricia Barker is our guest tonight, talking her near-death experience. Going back to the operating room, what was it like to see yourself flatline?
Yeah, it was a little odd. My first thought was, will I go on? And I think some people stay and watch their body, and they don't want to die. There's all different types of stories. But I didn't want to look at that body. I was just so happy. Like you, I had a fear of death. And when I realized that something about me is eternal, that something about me goes on, then I was like, let's party. Let's go fly. Let's get out of here. I guess I'll just have to discard this body. And, I've interviewed other near-death experiencers, and some of them are like, yeah, whatever, I'll just get another body later. They're just so certain that reincarnation exists, and that when they look at that one that dies, they're like, yeah, whatever.
Wow. And you said growing up, you didn't really grow up religiously. You were agnostic, didn't believe in God or anything like that. What was it like to stand there and actually hear from this omnipotent energy force, this entity?
Well, the love got me, that God being this energy that made me feel finally safe and finally loved, that brought me so much peace. And I had been introduced to religion as a kid. I just turned away from it in junior high. And as a child, I had faith, and I had loved praying and loved connecting to God and nature. And so from about 5 to 10, 11, maybe 12, I had a relationship with God and with Jesus, and then it had just fallen away because I was so disappointed in the people around me in this world. And I think it's kind of common. A lot of teenagers rebel. That's not uncommon. But what I learned was different from religion.
There is a huge,
because I had been taught.
Yeah, there is a huge difference between, and I think a lot of people get that confused. There's a real big difference between having your own spiritual belief in everything and having, a religious practice that you perform or a religion that you follow. It really is a personal relationship, is it not?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like people have to have faith, and I don't need faith. And I know that sounds so arrogant, but when you've had an actual experience, I know the love of God. I know it to be a real thing. And so I don't necessarily need to read, about it, because I just go connect with it. I just connect with God through nature, but I can connect with God in certain churches, but it's all about the energy. If the energy of love isn't there, then to me, that doesn't seem like God. And, I can get into that later, but if it's a spiritual gathering, if it's a Christian church, if it's a temple, if it's whatever, to me, if that love is there, then that's what matters. I do find, particular power in Christ, but yet I find it in nature too. And I think that makes near-death experiencers a little different to people, especially, in my part of the country.
Yeah, and I can see that, because in the end, you really need to be able to find yourself. And, as we got about 35, 40 seconds here left, did you really find yourself in who you truly were or were supposed to be?
Yeah, so what I found was a mission that was so exciting. I felt like the other side eventually worked through me. When I became a teacher, it was so natural, and it was so natural to help all those students who had suffered like me find their way out of abusive situations, or at least find some personal power or some understanding about how they could survive in life, how they could thrive, and really help some students not want to commit suicide and to find greater peace about life and living. And that was really my mission in the classroom, was to see the pain in others and give them some hope.
Tricia, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to take a break at the top of the hour. 1 hour down, 2 hours to go on Spaced Out Radio. Our guest, Tricia Barker, her amazing near-death experience story. Angels in the OR, what dying taught me about healing, survival, and transformation. We continue this miraculous story right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com. The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning us in, especially if you're listening on KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan in Georgia, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. We're on UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and down in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. On the digital side, thanks to everybody listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Lamiaceous. Lamiaceous is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault just in time for Christmas. Grab a book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. And, of course, you can also catch up on all the news with Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tricia Barker is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. She has an amazing near-death experience that she wants to share with all of us, and she's shared it with the world. Her book, Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation, is an incredible book. I do encourage all of you to go pick it up. Tricia, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm enjoying it.
So many questions. But what I want to do here, if you don't mind, I always like to get our audience in the chat rooms involved in the conversation. If you don't mind taking some questions from them.
Oh, certainly. I love to hear what people are wondering about.
All right. Kevin is asking, Tricia, all of life is made up of yin and yang, positive and negative balance. So why do so many who go on to the afterlife report that it is all so positive, in your opinion?
Well, I have interviewed a number of near-death experiencers because I think it's interesting for us to tell stories to one another, and the majority of experiences are positive ones, but there are some people, very famous stories, who have experienced hellish realms, and for a long time I thought, that wasn't possible because that's not what I experienced, but when I interviewed Howard Storm, he was an atheist, and he described being drugged down into this pit of a darkness where people were literally tearing him apart and doing horrible things to him, and he cried out for salvation. He just remembered some Bible verse from his childhood and begged for salvation, and then was carried up to heaven and experienced angels and even heard things about aliens too. He's a really interesting near-death experiencer, but I felt that same love and that same energy from him, and I knew that he'd had a real experience, and so listening to his experience, I couldn't discount that, people do have hellish experiences. But I did press him in that interview, and I asked him, hey, Do you think that you got the experience that your soul needed? Like maybe you wouldn't have changed. You wouldn't have come back and been a different person without that dramatic story. And he said, yeah, I'm pretty sure my soul got what it needed. And so, I needed love. And most people, I think, do need a lesson of love. But perhaps there are some people who learn through other experiences.
All right, let's move on here to another question. This one comes from Darren. How did the doctor react when you asked them about how long you had died for?
Yeah, so she was definitely taken aback. Like she literally stepped away from me and did not want to continue down that train of thought. I mean, that was not what she wanted to talk about. But she did confirm that they thought they had lost me for a couple of minutes, and that's about as far as I got. And, nurses, no one really wanted to talk about my death. And that was disappointing because I thought everybody should be enthralled and asking me questions. And, it took many years to get to that place, and people had to have an interest. But I certainly tried in the hospital.
All right, continuing on here. Shar is asking if you saw Jesus.
I did not see a religious figure, and IANS reports that most near-death experiencers do not see God as a figure or a religious figure. However, some people do. And, I heard a line that's reminiscent of the Bible, be like a little child. Certainly Jesus expressed that. And that was a confusing part of my near-death experience for quite a few years. I think it was, from 1999 to 2008, I largely, practiced meditation and some loose form of Buddhism, but I would jump into unity churches. But in 2008, I was in this cathedral in Santa Fe, and of all things, I felt the presence of Jesus. And I was really shocked by that because in the South, you can encounter a lot of people and people in my family who really just didn't exemplify good Christians, but they certainly were Bible thumpers, by the bookers, as they say, and yet they weren't loving people. So I didn't associate a lot of love with the religion, but when I felt the presence of Jesus, I felt deep healing, deep love, and this humanity, that he was meeting me at the human level and willing to give healing, deep healing, even of my childhood, even of things that, were tough for me to wrap my head around. And he still looked at me like this child. And so I realized the essence of Jesus and the spiritual essence of Jesus is incredibly healing, incredibly powerful, and incredibly beautiful. And so then I think my heart opened up to Christianity again at that point.
Do you consider yourself a Christian now? Like, do you practice faith, or do you just have your own little church because of what you've experienced? You don't need somebody telling you what the good, the bad are.
Well, that's a really tricky question. I do go to church, and I do love this church because they do a lot of community outreach, and I feel the presence of God and Jesus and the energy of love in this church. But occasionally I just wish that people spent a little less time on the specifics of the Bible and spent more time on practicing what Jesus preached, like love the poor, help humanity, reach out to others. I think if we focused on that element of Christianity, we'd be a lot better off as human beings and as people and as communities, that really that disconnection and that judgment and I'm right and you're wrong that happens a lot in churches is really divisive and destructive. And so I'm really careful, about what kind of churches I go to or associate with. And I always tell people that, that central message is love is all that matters. And if you are using your church and your faith to do loving deeds and good deeds for this world, then you're on the right track.
So when you are at church and let's just say somebody hears your story for the first time and you are, and you are giving this impassioned speech, which it definitely is, what is the reaction from these people? when, when they go to church. I know, for instance, my own experiences. I choose not to go to church even though I'm a firm believer in God. I choose not to go to church because I don't feel comfortable there because of the experiences I've had and the prejudgment that happens within a lot of those situations. How do you feel about that? Because it could be a very hypocritical type society.
Yeah, I'm still finding my way in those situations. I think Unity churches are very inclusive, and they certainly, have a lot of near-death experience speakers, and they nod to other religions, and there's this sense of inclusiveness. So I have no problem telling my story at Unity churches. I mean, I kind of keep it to a minimum. In other churches, I do say that I've died and I've experienced the love of God, and my knowing of God is that God is incredibly loving. Sometimes, I'm a little uncomfortable with messages that keep focusing on how we make mistakes and how we're at like there's a spiritual war going on. I think the important thing is to remind people of their power and their connection to God, and that instantly overcomes any darkness in their life. So you don't need to keep focusing on the darkness. You need to look to God and say, God, be in my life, be that love in my life, be that force, help me with this situation, and move forward in that direction. And I think sometimes, messages at church can be, a little too focused on the negative.
True. Very much true. So going back to your near-death experience that you had, and you start the recovery process, at any point did you go through the situation where you're like, wow, that was an incredible dream? Or were you convinced right from the beginning that what you had seen was real right from the beginning?
Great question. So, yes, I was so convinced that on day 3, I asked my grandmother to go get me something to write with, a pen and paper, because I wanted to write down this experience because I was afraid I might forget it. And I knew it was so powerful and profound. So I wrote down as much as I could about the angels, but my hand was really shaky, and I realized how physically harmed and weak I was, just 3 days after the accident. My arms were badly bruised. They kept checking my stomach on the internal injuries where the seatbelt had been. And I didn't realize, though, that I'd never forget it, that unlike dreams, it just didn't disintegrate. It was so out of the ordinary and out of the norm that it's still vivid even to this day. If I shut my eyes, I'm back in that operating room, and I'm there with the angels, and I feel their energy. I remember what it was like to float in that cosmos. I remember how beautiful my grandfather looked, and I get emotional thinking about it because it was so beautiful, and it's something I couldn't ever forget. If anything, it's this memory that just shines so bright.
So with that, and you realizing that this is what happened, at what point did you, in your recovery process, start to feel this? Like, did you feel that survivor's guilt that so many people have?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, maybe if I had run into people and, the people in the car, if they had died or something, I would have felt bad. Or, no, I didn't feel survivor's guilt. What I was surprised by was PTSD. So back in the physical form, I didn't necessarily want to die again. I didn't want to, my body was just barely healing. I had to be in a body cast in Texas heat, if you can imagine that, April to August. I was in a body cast, and I had to learn to walk slowly. So I'd get up really early in the morning and walk down the street. And what I noticed is if I saw a television program with an ambulance, my body would go into panic. And sometimes I would have these out-of-body experiences where my spirit would jump out of my body, and it would be up there on the ceiling, and I'd be like, no, you have to get back down to your body. But I would be so terrified to go through that physical pain again. And that was the terrifying part to me. And dealing with the pain actually was tough. I didn't take painkillers. After I returned, I lived at my mom's house, my mom and stepdad's house, until I returned to school the next year. But they worked, and during the day I would just eat fruit and learn to walk, and I was very happy though. It was this time in my life where I was meditating a lot. I was still connecting with that energy on the other side and participating with my own healing. And I was such a different person from that, that college student who went from party to party and exam to exam. Suddenly I was reading Carlos Castaneda and Marianne Williamson and Deepak Chopra and religious texts and just living this totally different life. And I was just feeling and experiencing such great peace, even just walking outside and looking at a tree. I mean, that was not who I was before. I needed a lot of entertainment. I needed good music. I needed, stimulation. I needed my culture. And after that near-death experience, I just needed a book and a tree and some fruit, and I was happy. That was, that level of satisfaction convinced me that I was a different person.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you, is in regards to your own personal wants and needs in life. How did that change? Because, so many of us are so busy trying to keep up with the Joneses and keep our status going around the people who are around us that we kind of forget about what's important at times.
Yeah, I had to wear these big, ugly T-shirts from my stepdad over the body cast, and I didn't have many outings, but, I went to the grocery store one time, and people looked at me like I was strange, but I know that my eyes were full of joy and light, and I just remember looking at them and thinking, you shouldn't judge me, you should get to know me, I've just been through something amazing, and yet they were looking at me like, ooh, what happened to her? And ooh, she looks weird. They had all these ideas in their head. And then even my joy later on when I got out of the cast and, was just walking around this world, people were truly annoyed with someone as joyful as I was, because that just didn't fit into how they saw the world. They were angry at their spouses, angry at their jobs, just caught in the drudgery of life. And I was like, hey, everybody, I love you. So, that gets misunderstood a lot, as you might imagine.
Well, for a lot of people who don't understand, they probably found it, not to be crude or crass, but they probably found it quite annoying. Like, who the hell is this person trying to tell me how I'm supposed to live my life?
Yeah, there's some of that. Like, oh, you annoying kid, like, what do you know? And then there was also just true annoyance, like, why are you so happy? And then, of course, I was still young, and men mistook it as, wow, she's open and friendly, and I like her. I was like, no, I love everybody. I don't mean like that.
How did this change your path in life, though? Because, here you were, a determined student, trying to graduate with your class and graduate with the best possibility to give yourself a future that you wanted. And now all of a sudden your life is transformed. How important was school after that? Yes, you went and finished, but was it a priority? What changed in your priorities?
Yeah, so no one has ever asked me that before, and that's a good question. What changed is I had this assurance. So I knew that I was going to teach in public schools, and so I was just assured that I would end up, and it didn't matter what school, that wherever I was placed, that God would work through me. I had this mission on earth, and when you have a mission, then you just don't let anything stand in your way. So I just, I graduated, and I had a really kind of mean supervising teacher who was rude to me, but I just didn't care. I was just there for the students. I was going to connect with them in the way that I was going to connect with them. And I was really surprised to go out into the world and see how much backbiting there was they're wonderful teachers. Don't get me wrong. Everywhere I've been, there have been people who are passionate and, coaches who stay after and really help kids. And there's so many people who do a great job. But then there were people who just didn't care. And they didn't care about helping another teacher. They didn't care about the students they were working with. And I thought, oh, my God, I really do need to be here. I might be the one person that the student is going to meet in the educational system that's going to see them and try to help and try to be this force of goodness in their life and, give them, a good taste of education, that, educators should be caring. And so my mission was really obvious that I was there to be there for the students. And I have to tell you, God is so amazing and so interesting that, I suffered from some major depressive moments before and after the accident. Maybe it's biochemical, or maybe it's just kind of depressing to be here and realize that not everybody is connected to God, and so you're going to encounter some meanness and cruelty. But I always felt, 1, in control, 2, that I was connected to another power that was greater than me, and that 3, I wasn't worried about myself in the act of teaching. I was worried about these kids. They needed to learn so much. For one, I was amazed at how little they knew. And then I was amazed at how little affirmation so many of them got in their lives. I mean, it wasn't even like I was performing miracles. Sometimes I was just saying, hey, you're a good writer. And they'd never heard that in their lives. Like, no teacher had ever given them a compliment. And suddenly they start believing they can write well.
Needs to be more of that.
Which sometimes led to stop.
There definitely needs to be more of that. There definitely needs to be more of that. That reinforcement, especially in children.
Yeah, people need to know that they have talent, or that they have goodness, or they have a great idea, or that something about them is special. And, there's been studies about teachers who are told that they have gifted students, and they start treating them as if they're gifted, and then those students perform at that level. So I had this belief that no matter who my students were, whether they were in a gang, whatever they had been through, I was going to see the light of God in them. I was going to work to make their life better in some way, some small way, and that they had potential. And that's a good way to teach, because they rose to it most of the time.
I'm going to get you to hold on right there, Tricia, because we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. And I think what you said was a good place to end, because it was extremely profound. And we all got to support the younger generations a little bit more than probably what we do at this point. Tricia Barker is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Her near-death experience. It'll give you chills. And if you missed portions of the show, you can check it out on YouTube. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. When we're done, her book, Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation. More with Tricia coming up.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a balmy minus 12 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit right now. I really don't. But it's cold. It's very cold here. So cuddle up, keep me warm by you huddling around the radio if you don't mind. Reminder that if you've missed parts of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the vault. You can grab a great book at We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. We are talking the near-death experience. What is it like when you go through this transformation? How does it change you? Tricia Barker is our guest tonight. She's got an incredible book called Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation. Tricia, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Dave. I'm happy to be here tonight. It's a ton of fun.
It is fun. We're having fun. It's good times. Very, very good times. All right. I just want to ask you, in regards to the experiences that you have had, what was your reaction when you started meeting other near-death experiencers?
Oh, what a great question. So one of the first ones that I met was randomly at a coffee shop, and I saw light in this guy's eyes. Like, he might have been in his 60s then with this long gray beard, and he was sitting there with his wife, and I just sat down at the table next to them drinking my coffee, and I don't know why, but I just turned to him and I said, hey, I've had this amazing spiritual experience. I had a near-death experience. I died. And he said, I did too. And I knew it. And then I told him, I knew it. I felt it in you. And we just started talking. And occasionally, not always, but I can see near-death experiencers. It's almost as if that a piece of that light and that love stays in their eyes. And I just recognize them. They're blown away by that love. And I can also tell, and some people laugh at me and they're like, don't tell me when I'm about to die, but I can tell when some people are getting close to death. And even if they don't have, an illness, I can see the light coming from them, or they're not aware of the illness that they have. I can see it coming. And this happened with, with just someone who I knew. And then I just saw the light in his eyes, and then a few months later, he was dead, and I saw it in my grandmother. Before she passed, I saw the light coming for her, and then when my dad died, he had a brain tumor, and when I got to the ER, I just knew it before they had diagnosed it, and so there's this sense of knowing.
Have you ever been given the gift of seeing a soul leave the body?
Oh, yeah. And this was a strange one. I taught English in South Korea for a year, and it's a very crowded place. And outside of the Hagwon, which is the school where I was teaching, I saw a little kid get run over by a taxi. And I rushed to the kid, and as soon as I got there, I realized that he was dead, and I saw his soul hovering above him and then just kind of quickly disappear into the light. And, that was, I knew that he was dead, and I knew he was in a safe, happy place. But since he was so young, I felt such sadness for his parents, and I knew that, that would be a grief for them that would be astronomical. And so I spent a lot of time crying and praying for those parents. And that's something that a lot of near-death experiencers, we encounter parents who've lost kids because they want that comfort and they want to know that their kids are in a beautiful place.
I never had a near-death experience, but kind of what brought me into this entire form, which is now Spaced Out Radio, was the fact that I had seen the angel of death in my mother's eyes back in 2007. And in fact, on the 13th of this month, which is this Friday coming up, wow, it'll be 8 years. And my next incarnation, or pardon me, my next run-in with the incarnation that I called the angel of death was when I saw a spirit leave the body right in front of me. We were called to the hospice, and I'm standing there, and I could feel that same energy, because I don't think a lot of people understand that if they've never experienced anything, and you would probably agree with this, that, like you said, when you know when there's another near-death experiencer around, they are, you pick up on their energy, and that's kind of something that you just know, as you said. And when I was in that hospital room and picking up on the angel of death's energy, it was like I was taunting him, and I was like kind of going, come on, I know you're here. Show me where you are. Don't be a chicken. Show me where you are. And then about 9 minutes before the lady in front of me passed away, a family member, I watched her spirit come out of her soul. And it hung over her body. And it was like the angel of death was saying, is this what you want? Is this what you want to see? Are you going to believe now? And then the spirit shot, or the soul shot right through the ceiling of the hospital room, and the angel of death's energy was gone immediately. And I was so struck by that. I could just imagine what you go through on a daily basis when you are just walking around, and seeing people, looking at people, because I'm sure you read people differently now.
Yeah, those years right after the near-death experience were challenging because it was kind of overwhelming to step onto a city bus and then just be assaulted by a lot of energy and know certain things about people. And then you get involved in life and years go on and, you want to believe that sometimes you're just paranoid and you're not really, you don't really know this about someone. But, so often there's this gut knowing that we have about people, and we have to go with that because most of the time, our minds might fill in little details that, are based on fear. But if something feels off, then there's generally something that's off about it, because we all have close friends or loved ones who don't give us anxiety, and that's because they're not doing anything to provoke our anxiety, and so we do have to learn how to pay attention to our internal knowing.
Couple questions from Hadarach in the SOR Space Travelers Club. He's asking, Tricia, have you ever had visitations from what you experienced during your death?
So good question. There's been a couple of times when people asked me, so a few years after the near-death experience, if I still saw angels or spirits. And in this one moment, when a friend asked me, I felt kind of sad that I didn't visually see them. And I looked down at the floor for a minute. And then when I looked up, I saw angels surrounding people. And then I saw some, souls that were wandering this earth that were not going on to the light. So, what we might consider ghosts, just wandering around. And there were so many more entities on the sidewalk than were actually there. And I thought, wow, that would be confusing if I saw them, visually like this at all times. But that moment, the veil just kind of opened up. And after writing this book, I have called on the energy of angels a lot more because it is important to me. And so if I'm afraid, I ask for their protection. I ask for their protection when I'm driving because that still is a source of fear for me. I know it's just a car, but there are moments when I still work with those energies.
All right, follow up from Hadarag. He is asking, how much more sensitive to spirits are you now due to your experience?
Great question. So I love experimenting with modalities and healers, and I consider myself pretty sensitive and, open to these things. So I guess it was maybe 2 years ago, someone, before all this stuff about John of God came out, they suggested that I try his protocol. And so, you write to him, you send a picture, and he sends you some herbs. And then you're possibly going to be visited by a healing entity. So the first night of doing this, I opened my eyes and I saw this huge light being with a kind of like a cross on it. And I said, oh, hey, can you heal me with your healing powers? Like, I'd like you to work on my thyroid. I said, are you capable of healing me? And the entity said, no. And I said, in the name of Jesus, be gone. And I just threw the herbs away, and I thought, okay, whatever John of God is, maybe he's using manipulation, or he's using spirits that make people feel better to be under his control. And I just felt a real ickiness about John of God. And then it wasn't even that long, but 6 months after that, all this stuff came out about John of God, and he had been basically running a human trafficking, a sex slave trafficking place through his casa, and just like a really sick man. And I was like, ooh, I'm glad I didn't, I'm glad that I was sensitive enough to not believe in what he does.
Interesting. Do you get visited by ghosts now? Are you haunted?
Oh, over the years, there have been a few places that I have noticed ghosts, and I've asked them to go to the light or tried to work with them. People have asked me, on occasion to clear their house, and that many times that works, but sometimes, the people who live there have some kind of contract with the being, or, some kind of fear connection to it. So, it can be a little more complicated in some cases.
Do you like working with the paranormal?
It's fascinating. I don't get enough chances to do it. Of course, now that I've been talking openly since 2016 about these things, students occasionally, will read my blog or see something, and they'll ask me to, connect with their grandparents. And yeah, it's kind of fun.
What made you decide to become public about your experience?
That's a very good question. So in 2016, when National Geographic interviewed me, they ran a big spread of my picture, and they told me to look really sad and depressed and think about death. And every time I thought about death, I just broke out into a big smile, and I was really happy. And the photographer kept getting mad at me, and she was like, no, think about death and be unhappy, it's somber, don't smile. And I couldn't do it. And so she's like, hey, think about anything that makes you sad. And so I had to think about, something other than death, because death kind of makes me joyful. But National Geographic is a serious scientific magazine, and they made my story in 3 lines sound pretty silly. And I thought, oh, no, I've got to tell the whole thing. I'm a writer. I'm an English professor. I teach creative writing. I have my degree in writing. This is what I love. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I teach students. I think I need to write my own story. If it's getting this much attention at an international level, then I need to tell it in my words, and I need to bring healing to this world. And really, there was a few years before that moment, there was this moment where I was walking up the stairs at the college where I teach, and I heard, again, that booming voice of God, and God said, your mission is complete. You can do what you want. And for a minute, I was like, what? Are you just going to take me now? I kind of thought, am I just going to get zapped up and, my mission is done? And I was going through some health issues at that time, and I thought, well, what do I do now? And I felt like every person on this earth who's trying to find their calling or their meaning, if it is no longer teaching, then what do I do? So this book was the first step to I guess teaching other people how not to fear death, how to remember that love is all that matters, how to go to nature for healing, how to be kind to one another and look at each other's hearts and not be so judgmental, and really create communities of connection. And in whatever way I do that, through workshops with people or, whatever I find in this world that is my calling, then as long as I'm doing it from that place of love and bringing that love of the other side through the work that I do, then that's still my mission. But I am still currently teaching at the community college. I do kind of wonder, if that will be, my path for the rest of my life. I don't know. But I'm writing a book to help the college students who are coming in find greater healing and health and success, and that's my focus.
Jade is asking in the Space Travelers Club on Facebook, did you find when you came back from your NDE that you had psychic connection with other people or other beings and entities?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there was a certain knowing and a certain laughter that I could experience with close friends very quickly. I made 2 friends who were spiritual, and one guy was a Reiki healer, and the other woman was just very spiritual and into A Course in Miracles. And so we'd go to workshops together, and it was almost like we had telepathy. We could just look in each other's eyes and laugh. And even to this day, when I see that friend, I cannot lie to her. She sees right through me, and I see right through her. Like, we just see into each other's souls. And I'm certain that we knew each other before birth, that we were just laughter, and that our souls had connected out there. And a strange thing about that, that was in the 90s, and Clyde, my friend, he said that he was going to die early, and he was going to be our angel. And my other friend Nina would get very mad, and she would say, Clyde, that's ridiculous. You're not going to die. And he would say, but I really am. I'm going to die in my 30s or 40s, and you guys are going to live a longer life, and I'm going to be there for you, though. I'm going to be that angel and that entity who still loves you. And oddly, in his early 40s, he developed throat cancer and died pretty quickly. And I remember him saying that, and I never really doubted him. I just thought that he knew he was going to die. And my friend Nina took it very hard, but I took it as, he just told me, and he meant it.
Wow. Do you still have visitation from him?
I do on occasion. He's a very light and loving, sweet spirit, and
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
All right, let's get to a couple other questions here. Kevin is asking, with everything you went through, do you now believe that souls reincarnate?
Yeah, so I have to believe that they do. And, I didn't get that specific message in my near-death experience, and I was kind of reluctant to believe in that. But when my father died in 2008, I had this connection to him, and I could still hear him talking. And there were verifiable moments where he would tell me to do something, and it would work out a certain way. And I know that connection is, there's enough evidence. They call it evidential mediumship, that I've had plenty of evidence, that he's truly talking to me. And he has convinced me that he wants to reincarnate. And it makes sense, for his life. He was a smart and wonderful man. And in many ways, we became friends later in my life, and he was a great support system. But he looked at his own life like there were missed opportunities. Certainly there were missed opportunities with me in childhood, but he just missed a lot of opportunities, and he longs to come back and really seep certain things into his soul, music being one of them, that, he follows that passion and continues with it in his next life. And so, I have a belief that my father will reincarnate.
I find that subject so intriguing, especially when you go like the Hindu culture and the Sikh culture believe very heavily on reincarnation. And then you go over there and you read the stories of young kids telling the police recalling their reincarnation, what happened to them in their previous lives, and people have been arrested for murder or accidents because of what a child says happened in their previous life. It's pretty amazing when that happens. Totally is.
Yeah, that's profound, and we have different universities that study those cases here, which is amazing. And there's lots of famous ones that you can look up on YouTube, but it's mind-blowing. It's beautiful.
All right, let's get to it. I love this question by PBR. He is asking, and I think it's a tough question, but it's a good question. If you can see a person is about to die, like you stated earlier, do you feel you have a duty to warn them? If not, why not? And we got about 2.5 minutes before we got to go to break here.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I haven't encountered it in someone since those times where I thought, okay, this is coming soon, and maybe they have cancer, or maybe there's. I think I would warn someone at this point because I'm more confident in my abilities. I think I was kind of innocent in those years right after the near-death experience, where I just thought, am I really seeing that? And then I'd get confirmation that indeed I did see it, and I think it takes some practice, to know, and to also ask people. So, there are times, this is a different subject, but I had a student lose her father in one of my classes, and I said, hey, I actually got a message from your father before class. Are you open to this sort of thing? Are you open to medium readings? Are you open to a message from the other side? And so, you have to ask people if they're open, to your intuition. And if they are, then certainly I think I would, say what I know and just leave them with that information.
That's still quite profound, though, because, if you have this ability, I wouldn't want to know. Like me personally, if you knew that I was going to die tomorrow, I wouldn't want to know.
And I don't think it's that cut and dry. Like, I think, you can see the light in someone's eyes, and you can see, maybe this light is coming for them, or, maybe they're closer to the other side, and you might say, have you been to the doctor recently? I kind of feel like maybe you should get checked. And maybe, someone gets close and then they catch an illness and they survive. So, maybe it's important, like the caller, like the question, maybe in some cases death can be averted, but we're all going to die. That's the thing that's inescapable. And I have kind of a sense of humor about it because, I talk about death all the time, and a fellow near-death experiencer, she's the Southern Belle medium, but she makes a joke. She says, well, hey, if you haven't had a near-death experience, it's never too late. There's instances where people get close to death and survive.
Well, you know what? Either way, I don't want to take the chance. Don't tell me, because I don't want to know. I think there's lyrics to a song there we could write, Tricia. Tricia, you hold on. We're going to take a break at the top of the hour. Tricia Barker is our guest. We got her for another 30 minutes going into hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio as we talk near-death experience. We'll be back with more SOR right after this.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. Chat rooms are open 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
We're underway in the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. I appreciate each and every one of you joining us. Thank you to everybody listening in on KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, down in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF AM 1560. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Lamiaceus. Lamiaceus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, because that's always fun. It's always a lot of fun. You can grab a new book, too, at We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and, of course, we also have Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, which is updated daily. For the final time tonight, we introduce author, lecturer, experiencer, Tricia Barker. She's a near-death experiencer who wrote an incredible book called Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation. We got her until the bottom of the hour. Tricia, welcome back.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here late night with you on radio. It's fun out here.
It is fun. It is fun. I mean, it's not Texas warm up here, but it's fun nonetheless. I want to get to a question from Hadarok in our Space Travelers Club. He goes, I don't know how to phrase this as a question, but my wife is psychic empathic. I have stated this before. We had an experience at a local Walmart where she felt somebody probing minds. He got to her mind and she immediately said in her mind to him, where are you? She felt an extreme surprise and almost laughter. She began to look around and then saw this old Asian man sitting on a bench against the wall as if he was waiting for his family. He looked right at her and smiled. So I was wondering if you, Tricia, have had any experiences like this.
Yeah, and it's funny that you picked that exact example because I've forgotten about this moment, but, you know, I taught English in South Korea for a year, and there was this one time we went to a touristy area, and we were walking around on this boat that was in Yosu, and there was a monk, and he was young, about my age, and he was walking on the boat, and sometimes South Koreans were surprised to see Americans in small little areas, or, we were just somewhat unusual. In Seoul, there's lots of Americans in military towns, but he was a little shocked by me, but he just looked into my eyes, and I looked into his eyes, and I got this sense of why he wanted to be a monk, and, how he was religious as a kid. And he just, threw this question into my brain, but he said, "But what are you doing here? You're not military. Why are you in South Korea? Did you just pick a globe as a kid and your finger landed there?" and we both started landing, and we both started laughing at this idea of me just randomly spinning the globe and ending up in South Korea. And we just looked at each other and laughed for a few minutes, and he didn't know a word of English, and we just passed each other. But it was this moment of connection. And then there was another moment where, I experienced sexual assault in South Korea. And yeah, intuition didn't protect me from that moment. And, that's part of my story. But afterwards, I went to the temples a lot before I went home, and I just was praying and trying to understand why this had happened to me. And these monks, they were female monks, came to me, and they grabbed my hands, and they took me down into their kitchen, and they just motioned that they didn't speak and that they were silent, and we just chopped vegetables and then ate together. And it was just this, moment of community, and it was important. And it just reminded me how community, even in total silence of just being there with people, is profound and beautiful.
Sweet. That's actually kind of cool. Listening to that. I want to get back on the idea of you being on the lecture circuit and you coming out publicly about your story. Did you have any backlash about coming out publicly?
Yes. So every near-death experiencer faces two different camps of people who immediately jump on them as soon as they start talking about their story. There's the super religious camp of people who say, that was just the deceit of Satan. That light that you saw wasn't the truth because that wasn't Jesus. And, you've just been misled. And, my response to all that is oh, no, you know God when you meet God. Sorry, but yeah, I was not misled by anything. That love of God is the most profound thing that I've ever experienced. And, you may not like everything that I have to say, but there's no denying that I met God. And I'm still a human. And I think a lot of near-death experiencers, maybe because they want to sell a book in a certain way and their publishers make them do this, or they want to sell a product, but they come across as, here's my story. I had this near-death experience and now I'm perfect. And that just isn't reality. It isn't. I know these people, it isn't reality. And so, we're all humans, and we come back and we know that we're a spirit in this human form, but we're going to make mistakes at times. And if you have a near-death experience when you're young, like I was, you're still going to struggle. What is all this, intuition? Sometimes I just wanted to push it away and just to be a regular, 20-something and just go have fun. And I was I don't want all this weight and responsibility of knowing this. I just want to be here, and so there's a lot to it.
Mm-hmm. What do you do now in your life that you didn't think you would do before this happened? Do you take more chances? Do you do extreme sports like bungee jumping or things along those lines that you wouldn't normally have seen yourself doing previous to this?
Unfortunately, no, because I have, I have a pretty severe injury. I'm fused, in my back, and I can't lift over 50 pounds. So I do work out, I do walk, I do take care of my body, but I miss roller coaster rides. I can't do things that would harm my back, and, I don't want to cause more injury to my back, certainly. So in general, I'm pretty careful, but my soul longs, for adventure. So, the most adventurous I get is just hiking up steep mountains.
Yeah, that just seems like too hard. I'm not going to lie. That just seems way too hard. Like, what's with
the
that?
view is so beautiful. But, you know, I'm
that?
able to fly. I'm able to fly in some lucid dreams and some lucid meditations. So to me, that the spirit still can have freedom even when the body is not able to.
What do you miss about your experience? What would you like to happen again?
Oh, you know, that's a
deep question, I know.
Question. I think the energetic change. I mean, a lot of people in the spiritual community talk about downloads and you know, upgrades and you know, all these different things. But you know, I continue to feel like moments of healing and meditation, or I'll feel a wave of energy that does change something in my world. But I would like for more profound moments with that love to be in my life. I mean, like every near-death experiencer, I miss God. You know, I miss that love of God that was so profound. I still know it and feel it. But to be in that energy was to be in more bliss than anyone can imagine. And so, yeah, I miss God.
I didn't think you would say that.
What did you think I would say?
Well, I thought you would say that, you know, there were certain aspects of maybe the feeling of it all, or the experience, maybe the people that you saw. You know, I guess I had this picture of something a little bit, I'm not saying more profound, but as I don't know, it's kind of tough to explain.
Well, there's little moments that I miss. I miss flying. I mean, like being a spirit form and being able to go through walls and, you know, just like fly into the stars and not having, you know, to be stuck with gravity and having to breathe. And there's benefits to not having the physical form. You know, there's this great freedom. There's also
you
freedom
got to learn how to astral travel then.
Yeah. I can do it sometimes. I have to do a lot of meditation to get into that space myself.
Do you battle then with... sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, do you battle then with out-of-body experiences?
You know, I had a lot of them in the beginning because I had trauma associated with being in the body. But now I'm able to stay in my body, and I every once in a while I can have a lucid dream. I can become aware during my dreams, and I think that when you're able to lucid dream, you're more in control of your life. You're more peaceful. When I'm going through times of great stress or working really hard, I don't find that lucid dreaming is easy, like, because literally you need to have kind of, for me at least, I need a relaxed day, some time in nature, meditation, a little ritual before bed, and then just kind of reminding myself, feeding myself for even weeks sometimes before I'm able to lucid dream. But yeah, in meditation, when I'm lucky, I do have those out-of-body experiences.
What do you like about that?
Well, the most fun experience that I reference a lot is I merged with a hawk one time, and that was so much fun because the hawk decided to catch prey on the earth. So I was flying with this hawk, and then I just felt what it was like to travel so quickly toward the earth and grab the prey. And then I thought, after that meditation, I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. Do I have a vivid imagination? Did I really merge with a hawk? And I went out to my car, and this had never happened before. And I started the car, and a hawk came down so far and so close to my car that it was like he circled the car twice and then tipped the wings so that I could see all the red on the wings and then flew off. And I thought, wow, that's amazing.
A lot of people wouldn't recognize that sign, though. That's kind of cool.
Huh. Yeah, no, I thought it was a definite sign, mainly because the hawk came so close to my car, and I just had never seen one do that before.
Yeah, I can see that where that would trip you out a little bit. For sure. For sure. I always have to watch my pronunciation of things because apparently when I say certain words, my Canadian accent comes out and I get harassed by my audience.
I heard that for sure.
For sure. Yes. Yeah. I'm blushing now. Absolutely blushing. When you have met up with other people who have had these experiences, and you kind of go over your notes, mental notes, what you experience, and they go over theirs, do you find a lot of similarities that kind of, re-trigger what you went through?
Yeah, I do. I mean, in general, most of the people who I've interviewed, there's some commonality that we experience. Generally, that love of God is a common experience, or the life review. There's differences, because each experience is catered to that person's soul. But I found that the energy of the stories are beautiful, and the energy stays with me. So it's really a blessing to hear these stories. And I tell people after listening to my story or anyone's story, go and spend some time with yourself. Consider meditating and consider letting that energy seep into your life, that knowledge that you're loved. The brain can make all kind of judgments about whoever it is that, is speaking, but the heart and the soul and the gut knows truth when it hears truth, and everyone needs to hear that they are fine, that when you die, you will be fine. You will understand that this existence was more of a test of your soul, of how much good and love you can do while here, and you'll see it so differently, and there's nothing to fear.
That's easier said than done, though. I mean, I have to take us. No, and I mean that with all due respect. I mean, as someone who has a diehard fear of death, I have to take someone's word for it.
Yeah, I know.
That's a scary, scary thought when you're dealing with something that is literally the end.
And all I can say is I don't look forward to the physical aspects of transitioning out, but I do look forward to being a spirit again and being encompassed in that love. And it's not like I'm longing for death, and it's not like I'm excited about, having to die. There's a reason why you go into hospitals and you get morphine at the end, and why it's painful. And but knowing that spiritual side gives me so much peace. And it makes me sad that I can't find the right words to communicate to people that there is nothing to fear. All I can say is that when you get there, you'll know. You'll be like, oh, okay, there's nothing to fear. But until you're there, you can't fully know it. And I think that's what's so bizarre and interesting about the near-death experience is we have slipped beyond the veil, and we do know that there's nothing to fear.
True. And I can see where you say that, but I think for a lot of people out there, they're still, I don't want to find out just yet. But when you're going along that line, though, and you are, you're talking about this story, and it's an incredible story, and there's probably a lot of people out there who use it almost like their own spiritual context to what they want to believe. Have people tried to take advantage of your story in regards to the fact that they want to, I don't know, believe that this is something that's going to happen to them? Have they tried to as you stated earlier, some people had tried to say you saw the devil. They try to turn you into something of an evil mistress of trying to promote fanaticism or something along those lines.
Oh, yeah. So you probably know, as a radio host or being out there in the public, there's a mean-spiritedness to being out on YouTube, and there's so many trolls and people who say different things, and I've had to develop a tougher skin. I've been called everything from the priestess of Satan. And of course I have a sense of humor, and I wanted to reply, don't you mean the high priestess? Just kind of mess with trolls. But, I just delete comments to, you're an angel. You're literally an incarnation of an angel in this life, and, everything in between. And I mean, my story is one where I've really worked hard to show myself as a human being with real struggles, with still, dealing with psychological issues, depression, and humanizing my journey, because it's the other side that is the real magic, that is the healing agent. It's not me. It's that love of God that is the great healer, and I want that to be the focus, more so than me. Certainly I want to be, a good person and live a good life and do no harm to others, but the real focus is bringing that energy from the other side here.
Mm-hmm. So with those detractors that you have, and everybody has them, we have them here, there's always those people who want to bring you down. How do you deal with that on a personal level? Because it's easy to talk about it and say, you have all the strength in the world, when you're on the microphone. But there's those times when, that little voice kind of creeps into your head like, geez, am I really that bad of a person? Am I really that bad for doing what I'm doing? Should I be changing careers? Like, what's going on here? Do you have those moments too?
Honestly, I don't have those moments exactly. I do have these moments where I get tired and I just think, I want to go live in a cabin in the woods far away and just shut off all my social media accounts and, stop doing this, stop being out there. And so I think I have those moments where I feel exhausted, where I think maybe I can just work on an energetic level to raise the energy of the planet, that maybe it doesn't have to always be through speaking and talking and being out there in that way. But for now, I think I still work as a professor, and there's a lot of things that need to be addressed in school systems. The kids who are committing suicide at young ages, that weighs on my heart, and I certainly want to give them more hope about what they can do. Certainly a lot of kids are concerned about our planet, and I want to give them hope about working to make this world a better place instead of just feeling doomed. There's in general, all good that we do does serve a purpose. And so I still feel a need to continue talking, and I do have a certain strength that comes from the other side, that if I, am met with detractors and I know that my mission is of the light, then I just think, well, maybe 5 years from now, or I'll be a catalyst to make them a better person. They may not realize it in that moment, but maybe they'll eventually look back and see the situation differently. And then I also know too that, I may not outlive them, and everybody loves you when you die. Suddenly you become a saint. And people get it. And they're like, oh.
Well, Tricia, as I got to start to wrap this thing up, do us a favor. Don't become a martyr. That could be a little tough.
I'm not.
That could be a little tough. Perfect. Tricia, I want to say thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. What an absolute pleasure it was to get to meet you and hear your story. I would love to do it again.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it so much, and thank you for doing the work that you do.
Oh, I appreciate that. Tricia Barker, her website, TriciaBarkerNDE.com, her book, Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Its Survival, and Transformation. We continue with Spaced Out Radio right after this.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
this is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters in the frozen Canadian tundra. I want to remind all of you, if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping in the SOR vault. Grab a book from We Read the Night. We got the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has us all up to date on the SOR Newswire. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes pretty darn cool. However, we're going to start off on a nostalgic loss here. You may not know the name Carol Spinney, but you know what he was all about. Carol died at the age of 85 at his house in Connecticut. You may better know him as the voice of Big Bird and the voice of Oscar the Grouch on Sesame Street. The Sesame Workshop said in a statement that the legendary puppeteer lived for some time with dystonia, which causes involuntary muscle contractions. Spinney voiced and operated the two major Muppets from their inception in 1969 when he was 36 years old, and performed them almost exclusively into his 80s on the PBS Kids television show that later moved to HBO. Yeah, how sad is this? He says, before I came to Sesame Street, I did not feel like what I was doing was very important, Spinney said when he announced his retirement in 2018. Big Bird helped me find my purpose. Through his two characters, Spinney gained huge fame that brought international tours, books, record albums, movie roles, and visits to the White House. Carol was an artistic genius whose kind and loving view of the world helped shape and define Sesame Street from its earliest days in 1969 through 5 decades, and his legacy here at Sesame Workshop and in cultural firmament will be unending, the Sesame Workshop said. Of course they did. What a beautiful comment. That's sad, though. It's sad that we're starting to lose our childhood people. Seriously. Terrible. God bless them. A big win for women in Saudi Arabia. Women will no longer be required to enter restaurants through separate entrances from men, the government said, as it takes another step to relax some of its strict social rules. The Ministry of Municipalities and Rural Affairs announced this decision to end the practice Sunday. Where did they do it? On their Twitter account. Wow. Wow, glad we're not partying like it's $15.99 anymore. Previously, women and families were required to enter restaurants through their own designated doorways. Though the enforcement of this rule has relaxed recently, the new regulation leaves the decision over separate entrances to store owners. The amendment was announced along with a slew of others concerning private schools, hospitals, cinemas, and sports centers in pursuit of fostering a stimulating and attractive business environment for investors. Minister of Commerce and Investment Majid bin Abdullah Al Kasabi said, "Can't believe I nailed that name. Wow. Good job, Dave." I'll pat myself on the back for that. Majid bin Abdullah Al Kasabi. That's awesome. Great name. In the past few years, Saudi Arabia has implemented a number of changes to open up its traditionally repressive social rules in line with Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz's Vision 2030 plan that aims to loosen its economic dependence on oil through, among other initiatives, increasing the presence of women in the workplace. The announcement follows the country in August permitting women above 21 years of age to obtain a passport, effectively allowing them to travel on their own. Last June, women were permitted to drive for the first time. Once again, Saudi Arabia no longer partying like it's $15.99. It was 1934 and John Henderson wanted a car, so he shelled out $26 for a used green Dodge Roadster, hoping the wheels would bring new adventures and impress fellow University of Texas classmates like Charlotte Curtis, the pretty girl who sat in front of him in zoology class. "Turned out to be the best $26 I ever spent," said John, now 106 years old. "I dated Charlotte all during the time I had it. I felt so important in that little Roadster," added Charlotte, now 105, with a laugh. "It was just a nice car." Nearly 80 years of marriage later, Charlotte is still by John's side, the two sharing a life that has included everything from far-flung travels to countless favorite meals to most recently a Guinness World Record. In August, the Hendersons were named the oldest married couple on Earth with an aggregate age of 211 years old. "Sometimes it's not hard to wonder how the days turned into decades in a flash," Charlotte said. "One year just went into the next year," she said recently at Longhorn Village, the retirement community the couple calls home. "We've always loved each other, cared for each other, and it's just one of those things that comes naturally to us. Isn't that right, John?" "Oh, you know that was a setup." "And we support each other," John said. "You have to be partners. Don't try to outdo your mate. Be grateful for what you have, try to expand on what you have, and try to make tomorrow a better day than today." The couple dated throughout college. John was on the guard on the football team and holds the title of oldest living former UT football player, the Austin American-Statesman reported. "When I moved to Austin for my freshman year, I roomed in a house across the street from Gregory Gym," John said. "The people next door had chickens and a cow. Can you imagine chickens and a cow at Gregory Gym today?" After waiting for Charlotte to make up her mind whether she was ready for marriage, John said they tied the knot in 1939. Although they never had kids, they were surrounded by children in their daily jobs. Charlotte as an elementary school teacher, John as a junior high football and basketball coach in Port Arthur near Houston. "I think I made $100 a month for 9 months, John said. "Those were some tough days, but we didn't know about it. Everybody was in the same boat." John later accepted a position near Humble Oil and Refinery Company, where he worked for more than 3 decades, traveling back to Austin frequently to attend UT games. Good for them. 80 years. I lasted a year and a half with my ex-wife. 80 years. Holy cow. I couldn't imagine. All right, this one grosses me out. I don't know why Captain Shirk put this in here, but I'm blaming her. If you don't like spiders, don't read this story. Don't even look it up. Plug your ears for a couple seconds. A rare photo has emerged of a colony of huntsman spiders living together in nest boxes originally built for pygmy possums. Nonprofit organization Bush Heritage Australia published the photo of the group of arachnids on its blog, noting that they quickly moved into the boxes shortly after they were built. "It all started about the same time we were finding pygmy possums in the boxes, but on lifting the lid, some of what we found, many huntsman spiders of all sizes whizzing around inside." Just Just disgusting. We know that they are a species of huntsmen that live together, normally under the bark of trees. Bush heritage continue. In the restored area, tree bark is on short supply at present, and they've found wooden boxes suitable. Huntsman spiders, which can grow to nearly 1 foot in length. 1 foot! Generally live in Australia, Africa, and other temperate climates. According to the Australian Museum, these spiders, known for their size, speed, and ability to hunt, can be dangerous to humans if bitten. However, attacks are rare, the museum added. Symptoms include swelling, pain, nausea, vomiting. That's just looking at the things, never mind their bite. In June, a man staying at a lodge in Tasmania witnessed a large huntsman spider eating what appeared to be a pygmy possum. These spiders have also been known to take up residence in people's homes. In August, an Australian woman posted photos of a giant huntsman spider lurking in her home before it was safely removed. All right, that's just too big. Way too big. A 4-armed robotic junk collector will be launched into space by the European Space Agency, and what it says will be the first mission to remove an item of debris out of orbit. The Clear Space 1 mission, scheduled to launch in 2025, will cost £120 million and will grab a single piece of junk. But the space agency hopes the mission will pave the way for a wide-reaching cleanup operation, with ESA's Director General calling for the new rules that would compel those to launch satellites to take the responsibility for removing them from orbit once they retire. Imagine how dangerous sailing the high seas can be, especially when most of the ships lost were still drifting atop the water. Says Jan Warnen, ESA's Director General. The current situation in orbit, and it can't be continued, he says. Yeah, well, that's kind of freaky. In the past 60 years, thousands of tons of junk has accumulated around the Earth, including old rocket parts, about 3,500 defunct satellites, and an estimated 750,000 smaller fragments, some from collisions between larger bits of junk. The fragments are typically circulating with a velocity of, let's just say 12,500 miles per hour, 20,000 kilometers per hour if you're on the metric system. Unless a clear-up operation is mounted, the chances of collisions will escalate as thousands more satellites are put into orbit. All right, we got a couple more here. An American Airlines passenger wearing a Hail Satan t-shirt was told by crew members on her flight to cover up the top's offensive logo or face being kicked off the plane. Swati Rooney Goyle, 49 years old, who is a member of the Satanic Temple, says she was warned by staff during her flight from Florida to Nevada on October 30th and forced to wear one of their husband's extra layers of clothing to cover up. She told the media an attendant told her, "Our crew has found your shirt to be offensive." The black t-shirt has Hail Satan in all caps on its front, plus the text established 666 and an upside-down cross. Goyle, from Key West, Florida, says the experience left her feeling humiliated, adding, "We initially just thought it was a joke," but he repeated the directive, and there was another female crew member who was behind him with her arms crossed looking very angry. The man said, "Your shirt is offensive. Do you know what that means?" I said, "I'm a foreign-born minority woman. I understand offensive, and this shirt is not offensive." Yeah, well, apparently the crew even delayed takeoff after bringing a customer service agent on board to speak with Goyle before she was made to swap into her husband's extra layer. Goyle said, "I'm just an ordinary-looking person. I'm not goth. I don't have piercings. I wasn't wearing a shirt that had a goat being beheaded on it. I was wearing LL Bean hiking pants and vegan sneakers. I mean, I couldn't look like more of a nerd," she says. American Airlines, by the way, stipulate passengers are required to dress appropriately and avoid offensive clothing, but what is deemed offensive is up to the crew. The company has since tweeted Swati to say discrimination has no place at American Airlines. They also offered to refund both tickets and pledged to continue their investigation. The Satanic Temple is recognized as a church in the United States. The temple says its mission is to encourage benevolence and empathy among all people, reject tyrannical authority, advocate practical common sense and justice, and be directed by the human conscience to undertake noble pursuits guided by individual will. Okay. Goyal added, it's an ironic shirt. People usually laugh at it or give me the thumbs up because they understand the meaning behind it. I think the group that could be most targeted by this are Muslim people for obvious reasons. I am an atheist, but I support people's rights to practice what they believe peacefully. A spokesperson for the American Airlines says, we apologize to Ms. Goyal for her experience, and we are reaching out to her to understand what occurred. Finally, when you have too much money, you can do stupid things. So, some moron decided to pay $120,000 for a piece of art. Now, it could be cheap in some circumstances, but the piece of art was a banana duct taped to a wall. Yes, I said that right. $120,000 for a banana duct taped to the wall of a Florida art gallery was taken off the wall and eaten by a visitor, and another visitor then replaced it with graffiti about Jeffrey Epstein. David Tatuna, a performance artist based in New York, posted a video showing the moment he took the banana down from the wall at Art Basel, Miami Beach, and ate the pricey fruit. Tatuna was escorted out of the gallery by security, and officials said they don't plan to pursue charges. The duct tape banana, titled The Comedian, was a piece by Italian artist Maurizio Catalan. It was one of the remaining editions of the work after the two others sold for $120,000 each. The wall, formerly occupied by the banana, was targeted by another visitor to the gallery when a man was recorded using red lipstick to write Epstein didn't kill himself, a misspelled reference to theories about the recent death of accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Roderick Weber was arrested on charges of criminal mischief for eating the banana. Weber's writing was covered up by a piece of white cardboard, and a new banana was taped to the wall. Officials said guards are being posted near the piece to prevent further incidents. What are they going to do when the banana rots? Seriously, what are you going to do when the banana rots? I wonder if the guy who spent $120,000 on that realizes the banana will rot. Marty, where's our clown? All right, there it is. Thank you, Marty. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we get a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air. Today's Thought of the Dave is, have you ever had a near-death experience? Jamie, my last relationship. Philip, yes, I have, but I didn't actually die. I suffer from heart failure. In 2016, I had an attack of arrhythmia, and the defib, which is part of my pacemaker, fired and reset my heart to its normal beat. This all happened at my home in my kitchen. When the attack happened, I thought my time had come. My legs buckled, and just before I hit the floor, the defib fired and saved my bacon. The ambulance was called, and off I went. At no point did my heart stop or did I black out, but the strange thing is I saw all this as if I was my own third person viewing it from above. Debbie, my heart stopped in May 2010, was put in ice, life support, and in rigor. I remember nothing of the experience, only what I felt before, which was pain in my left arm, so I started getting ready to have my family take me to the hospital. I was without oxygen to the brain. I do have frontal lobe damage from it and have a pacemaker, defib now. My opinion, I was always afraid of death. I begged so much to be back that I was granted it, because according to the doctors, I should have been dead or in complete vegetative state. Everything I went through was told to me by my family that I had to learn who my two youngest daughters were at the same time again. Mr. Pearson, I collect paranormal stories. I usually start just by asking if the person has ever seen strange lights in the sky. I collected this story from an elderly Hispanic man who lived in Texas, Mexico, or the Texas-Mexico border, right on it. He was in a department store when he suddenly collapsed. He believes he died because he defecated when he collapsed. While he was collapsed, he said, "We he saw a beautiful forest. It was beautiful and filled with lush plant life. It also felt lonely because he was the only one there and there were no animal sounds. Felt very real to him. He was also a very religious person. Jure, my good buddy, good Army veteran out of Las Vegas, Jure. His near-death experience, 2 deployments, multiple upon multiple times. You're a hero, Jure. Thank you for serving. Thank you for serving. He was a Ranger in the United States Army. Love you, bro. Maria, I actually died and was brought back during my labor with my daughter. I was about 8 hours into unmedicated labor when my blood pressure skyrocketed and the doctors started IV BP meds. Not long. Oh, come on, Facebook. Not long after, unbeknownst to me, I had a major seizure and my heart stopped. I was told my heart had stopped for over a minute. I woke up with a nurse sitting on me in my bed giving me heart compressions. I had no clue anything had happened. It was just like I had fallen asleep. But the most disturbing thing, however, is that I had absolutely no recollection of seeing a glorious light. I didn't see any relatives, no pets. It was all black. I didn't even have a dream as if I were sleeping. It was like nothing was there when my heart stopped. This is why I search for proof of the paranormal and life after death. That's probably a great place to end this one. I know there was many more I could have read, and I apologize. I'm not going to be able to get to them. But we will do the Thought of the Dave again tomorrow on Twitter and Facebook. And hopefully all of you will have the opportunity to participate as well. So make sure you check us on out because we love reading the audience participation around here. Big thanks to Captain Shirk for putting all of our news together on the SOR Newswire, which can be found on our website, spacedoutradio.com. And author, speaker, motivator, Tricia Barker, Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation, the Near-Death Experience. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, in our chat rooms on LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, and all the weirdos at hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. You know who you are. Remember, this show is copyright by SOR Media Ventures Limited and Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, kicking off our week, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather, Evolutionary Empath, tomorrow night on Space Out Radio. We'll talk to you then. Good night.